Hello, everyone, and welcome to our presentation. My name is Janine Donnelly. I am the Manager of Webinars for IBM Systems Magazine, and I will be the moderator for today's event. We will be holding a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. You may ask a question at any time during the event by entering it in the Q&A panel. If you experience technical difficulties during the webinar, please use the Q&A panel to alert us, and someone will assist you. Be sure to check out the drop-down menu labeled Event Resources on the left of your screen. From there, you can download a PDF version of the slide deck, and you'll also find an executive briefing with more valuable information on the topic we'll be discussing today. Today's webinar, Digital Transformation, Cybersecurity, and You, Is Your Mainframe Ready?, is sponsored by RSM Partners Limited. Our featured speaker today is Mark Wilson. A global thought leader in mainframe and security, Mark heads RSM Partners security and technical teams. With 30 years experience in Z systems across all sectors, in hands-on and strategic roles, he's an international speaker, chairs the GSE Large Systems Working Group, and is the technical co-coordinator of GSE Enterprise Security Working Group. And so without further ado, Mark, I will turn the presentation over to you.
Thank you, Janine, and hi to everybody on the call. There's a very rapidly increasing audience as we start this. So we're going to spend sort of 45-50 minutes talking about digital transformation, cybersecurity, and what it really means to those of us who feed and water and look after mainframe systems. So we have an agenda here, so I'll do a little bit of introduction and some scene-setting objectives, then talk about digital transformation, talk about cybersecurity, talk about IoT, and then talk about some of the things that we've been seeing out in the market by way of, how do you prepare yourself for what is, could potentially be the perfect storm, and I'll explain more of that as we get through. By way of an introduction, as Janine said, my name's Mark Wilson. I've looked at the attendee list, and I recognise quite a few names. Hi to everybody that's ever sat through one of my sessions at Share or GSE before. I'm the technical director at RSM Partners. As Janine said, I've been doing this for a while. I started way back in 1980 as a trainee computer operator, and have done many various things over those years. Today, I look after the technical team at RSM, just over 60 mainframe systems programmer type consultant resources. IT security, in particular mainframes, is one of my own personal specialist subjects and is also one of RSM's specialist subject. Outside of work, all forms of sport, football, and that's the game that we use the round thing and we kick it with our feet, not the one with the funny shaped ball in the hands, so soccer for anybody else. A little bit of scuba diving and motorbikes, and I have a confession. I have 13 motorbikes. My wife and children tell me I'm obsessed. I'm not quite sure I am, but have a passion for motorcycles. Little bit about RSM. Business was established in 2006. We only do mainframe stuff. Whilst we are very, very aware of the other platforms, and we often get involved interfacing those to the mainframe. System Z, System Z, whichever way you want to pronounce it, that's what we specialise in. So for us, it's all about upgrading, securing, leveraging them, migrating them. This is all the kind of things that RSM do. We've kind of evolved over the years from just providing resources to our clients through to project delivery, through now to managed services, and through now to cloud. So we have offerings to provide Z resources in the cloud for some of our clients. As I mentioned, mainframe security is a particular strength of ours. When we started RSM, I was a security practice of one. There's now 20 of us. And because of that, that's led us to actually develop some of our own mainframe security software, and there's a slide on that a little bit later. We run our own kit, so we've got Z13s, DS88s and VTSs, and we're an IBM business partner. What you'll see about this slide here is the thing that's at the core of RSM is our technical team. This is the largest part of the business, and all the other boxes that we talk about on this slide are all about the way that our clients consume those resources. We're known for our flexibility, agility, value, and reliability. But we are, as I said, we're just a pure mainframe services organisation. Until, of course, we stepped into the world of software, so we've written some mainframe security products. These are pure mainframe, no distributed systems capability, all mainframe at the moment. One of the things I've done with this presentation, because it's the second time I've given this presentation, is actually created a white paper that sort of goes along with this, and we'll send you all a copy of that. And I would really appreciate some feedback from people, whether it's good or bad. Be nice to see what people think of my broken English, as some people often say. So, on to the session. The whole idea of this session is to talk about digital transformation and cybersecurity, and discuss why it's so important to any organisation that's considering this digital transformation journey. And there are some folks who have actually set off down this journey not considering the security aspects of it that have caused them some challenges, shall we say. Okay? We talk about coming up with a plan, so that you are prepared when something bad happens. And when you actually start going out into the community and talking to the folks out there providing security services, not only in the mainframe space, but also in the distributed space. One of the things they're saying now is it's not if you are going to suffer a breach, it's when. And what we have to do is be prepared for when that comes. And also, discuss the consumers of our technology and our apps, because some of the things that are happening in the world outside of mainframes are really going to have a big effect on our mainframe systems. So, one of the things they say about digital transformation is that it offers companies, organisations, an opportunity for increasing business agility, innovation, and what the corporates want to see, obviously growth. But if you're going to do this, your cybersecurity, security posture is really essential when you start on this transformation strategy. And often it's forgotten about. And what's really going to drive some of this is the consumer-driven and people-driven technology. We talk about smartphones, we talk about iPads, we talk about eyewear and Google Glass and this type of thing. These are all going to drive our consumers to want all of this stuff, and they're going to want to access the applications and the systems that they're used to accessing from these devices. We just got to make certain that we do this in a secure way. The Internet of Things, or IoT, people talk about, rapid growth. Well, it's not fueling rapid growth. It has fueled rapid growth, and we are seeing an unprecedented number of devices connected to the Internet. And you start talking about this, and how are you going to open up some of your applications to these IoT devices securely? And these are some of the things we'll talk about. Because what will happen, and we see this all the time, is folks will appear on the front page of your local newspaper, whether that's a US-based publication, a European-based, yeah, Asia Pacific based, Middle East based. Yeah, you all have the financial newspapers, and I listed a few here of 13 different hacks, yeah, in the UK. Now you can look down these and say, well, they're not really mainframe related ones, but how do we actually know? Yeah, because I know some of these clients on this list actually do have mainframes, so this is a place we don't want to be, and the idea of this presentation is to prepare ourselves so that we don't. And if we do, we are seen to react appropriately. So what is digital transformation? And when I set about writing this presentation a few months ago, I used my friend Google and went and looked around and said, okay, what does it really mean? And I was quite surprised at how long this buzzword has been out there. I've heard it many times, but I wasn't actually 100% clear that I understood it or that people I was talking to understood it. But when I got into researching this, it's quite clear that a brand new website is not digital transformation. Social media is not digital transformation. Getting a like on social media is certainly not digital transformation. And enabling your organisation's website to support online shopping is not digital transformation. What digital transformation really means is changing the way that we engage with our clients and how we have to adopt technology to keep pace. And what this means is our engagement with the clients is changing. It's also changing the way that we create competitive advantage. Because if you look at what's going on in the world, there seems to be two types of organisations. Those that say they are doing digital and the digital innovators. And what I mean by digital innovators, Amazon, Uber. Who would have thought you would have booked a taxi fare on an app on your smartphone 5-10 years ago as easily as you can with Uber today? Airbnb, they have more hotel rooms or more beds for hire than any of the hotel chains in the world today, yet they don't own one piece of brick to host somebody in a hotel. It's all done digitally. And obviously Apple, And what we are seeing is that these digital innovators are winning. And they are disrupting the marketplace. As I said, Airbnb and Uber are two of my favourites. Who'd have thought you can rent a room in somebody's house via an app or just hail a cab with an app on the phone? So simple, but so effective. And disrupting the hotel market, disrupting the taxi business, phenomenal technology. What the research led me to find was that there seems to be 6 stages to digital transformation. BAU, present and active, formalised, strategic, converged, and innovative and adaptive. And what we're seeing is organisations are along this journey at various different points. And then what digital transformation does is really, it's aimed at transforming the business, and that might be via location-based services, it might be with cloud computing, it might be connected product sensors, and all kinds of different things. But it will mean different things to different organisations. But you see the sort of 6 areas that they talk about here: process, fields of work, ways to work, knowledge management, leadership and culture, and that's a big thing. Time pressure and management and time management. All of these things play into that digital transformation journey. So it's a journey. Now, does anybody know the name of the band on the screen? I wonder. But it is a journey for an organisation. It's about empowering the teams to come up with ideas and getting them to getting to the table, getting them to the market quickly, and trying them out and testing them. And for some organisations, it's about taking a leap of faith. It's about being fearless. let's try it and see what happens. And that's what's driving some of this. But it really is about, the core strategic leaders are the folks who are winning in this game. Okay, and there are a lot of them out there. But it is about transforming innovation enabled by technology. It's about transforming your teams. It's about transforming your culture, all enabled by technology. Yeah. So at this point, we all sit there and say, "Great, yeah, so far so good." Yeah, I like this idea. We're going to be digital innovators, and we're going to open up all of our systems, all of our enterprise systems, including our mainframes, to all of these apps. And then you start to think, just let's stop and take stock here. Yeah, are we really going to do this? Are we going to open up our mainframes, our systems of record, to all of these app developers? And they develop them how? Well, they use this thing called Agile. Now, I know this is a Dilbert cartoon and it's tongue-in-cheek, but from somebody who grew up in a mainframe space where we had rigid change control and rigid testing, Agile is something that we have to approach carefully. DevOps, all of these things, they're all good for the mainframe. I'm not saying they're bad, but if we're going to be doing this, you've got to think about the security impact of doing some of these things. And because if we make a mistake or we don't do this securely, we could end up on that front page of the newspaper. Yeah. So we really need a plan, a much, much better understanding. And any security strategy, really, for me, has 3 minimum requirements. And they are, confidentiality, availability, and integrity of data. That's got to be core to any plan that we build. Non-repudiation. We've got to be able to do that. And obviously, privacy preservation. And if we've got those 3 things baked into a plan, that gives us a chance of succeeding and supporting the business on their digital transformation journey, but whilst doing it securely. Because you start to look at cybersecurity and you start to think, well, it's not that bad. And then you look at some of these things, the 2016 cybersecurity trends. Ransomware, 165% rise. Mobile malware, 20 million bad applications, and so on and so forth. Now, depending on your outlook, this is either going to get better or worse in 2017. Because if you're the bad guys, it's going to get better because they're going to keep coming at us and they're going to keep knocking at the door and they're going to keep trying. If you're on the other side of the fence trying to defend against this, it's only going to get worse. So we really do need to have a plan and be on the front foot. And when you start talking about IoT and you start looking at the numbers, Gartner said we'd have 6.4 billion devices in 2016 and more than 20 billion in 2020. Well, actually, a Cisco report says we could end up with a 50 billion in 2020. But in 2017, we've got 8.4 billion supposedly IoT connected devices. And we haven't got that many people in the world. World population's hovering around 7.5, 7.6 billion when I took this screenshot. So, it's quite interesting to see, exactly, the threat landscape that's coming our way. So, the problem with IoT devices, they're fashionable. We say that they appeal to tech-savvy consumers. They actually appeal to a lot of non-technically savvy people, but the technically savvy ones probably push them and use them in the ways that they weren't really designed. But the manufacturers of these devices, do they really pay attention to security, or are they actually looking at, function over security? Is it better to have this feature and do it not securely than not have the feature or function at all. And this is what we have to contend with, okay? When you think at some of the devices that we've got in our homes, whether they be routers or Wi-Fi devices, or an internet-connected fridge, or a front doorbell that's internet-connected, because the supplier of the kit has taken that from a manufacturer, probably configured it for their use, and then sent it to you as you have purchased it. You cannot download firmware updates directly from the manufacturer, because you would wipe out all the configuration of your device from your supplier. And those suppliers don't provide these customized updates. And when I first started looking into this, I went round my own home and looked at our Wi-Fi router and one or two other devices, and I'd got some unpatched kit that hadn't been patched for 3 or 4 years. Now, what did I do with that? Well, I went out and purchased the latest and greatest one, made sure it was up to date. It was 2 or 3 years old, and replaced it. But how many people actually think like that to do that? And that could be an attack vector for somebody who wants to target you or someone in your organization. So that's one of the problems we have here. And then when you start researching this, if this is sort of early in 2016, 23rd of January, I found this. Internet of Things security is hilariously broken and getting worse. If you haven't looked at the Shodan search engine, it's really quite mind-blowing what you can do on this website. And as it says here, they were able to let you browse vulnerable webcams on this Shodan search engine, and that all kinds of images were available. So IoT is a major, major security problem that could affect us. And then of course, you go to the manufacturers, and here's a case again from early in 2017. TV maker fined $2.2 million for spying on 11 million of its own users. So even the manufacturers are turning this stuff on us, and we need to be aware of this, because you don't want to come into your living room or your bedroom or your children's room and find this on the TV. You've been hacked, spread all over your TV. We have no idea what they've seen or what they've done. And then you think to yourself, well, this is not that bad. It takes specialist skills to do this. You need a lot of information to do it. Really? Because if you actually go out there and look on the dark web and other places, there literally are hundreds and hundreds and thousands of scripts, tools, forums, blogs, as I mentioned, specialized search engines for all of these hacking tools. And people say, it doesn't matter, it's not going to affect the mainframe. Well, just hold on a moment, because that's coming. Our threat landscape is really, really changing, from whether it's simple password hacking to smart and mobile device hacking to distributed denial of service or malware or social and phishing. All of these things could have an effect on the mainframe, and we'll get to that. But look at where 60% of the motivation is cybercrime. It's a multi-billion-dollar business today. I mean, I know I'm not the only one on the call who gets an email from a rich banker who's looking after an estate over in somewhere in Africa, and can I send them £5,000 so they can send me $50 million? We all get those. That's quite unsophisticated these days, to the things that you get through the email that look like a genuine document, say from your in-country tax authority or from your credit card provider. You've got to be really, really cautious of what you look at and what you actually click on in these things. And it's all motivated by, 60% of it motivated by cybercrime. Yes, there's a bit of warfare. Yes, there's a bit of espionage. Yes, there's a little bit of hacktivism proving the fact that they can. But when you look at all of this stuff, and you start thinking about business transformation, technologies transformation, agile, and the bad parts of agile, not the good parts of agile, and this increasing threat landscape, do we have a perfect storm? Yeah. Is there going to be a major outage or denial of service or actual theft of confidential data from one of the really large financial organisations on the planet today? And what the people are talking about in the forums and the chatter is yes, and 2017 could be that year that this happens. So, yeah, is that perfect storm coming our way? But it's not just a technical problem. Yeah. Yes, our applications have become really complex, and the businesses have come to depend on these and the infrastructures they sit on. Yeah. But it's also a human thing. We need to talk about, governance, process, skills, and judgment, and that's really difficult thing to educate. How do you teach somebody to be very cautious? Because as a race, as a culture, most people, when you walk up to somebody, the first thing we do is we put out our hand, shake the hand, and if the handshake is good and firm, we probably trust them. And that's our natural reaction. We trust people until proven otherwise. We don't want to turn everybody into, I don't trust anybody, I'm never going to step outside the front door. But, we do need a bit of caution. Yeah. This is not just an outside threat. Yeah. We have got to remain vigilant, against that internal threat, whether accidental or malicious. We have got to remain vigilant. It's still the biggest problem today. Even in the mainframe space, the internal threat is bigger than an external threat. Okay, but you need to have a plan. And I was sort of researching, generating stuff for this presentation, as I said a few months ago, and I came across this blog on LinkedIn, and it talked about all of the things that most organisations should think about. But he actually listed them in the blog 1 to 10. Securing your web presence and your application, securing to your endpoints, right the way down to preparing for the worst incident and test the process. Okay? And at number 8, you've got protect your sensitive data. Really? Because to me, this blog sort of gave a false impression of priority. Because you, as an organisation, you have to focus on your assets and prioritising the defence of your assets than just blindly doing everything on the list. Because you might have one critical piece of data that's the most fundamental thing in your whole infrastructure that you have to protect at all costs. And if you don't know that, you don't know how to protect it. Yeah. Typically, data is our most useful asset, yet it was only at number 8 on that previous list. So that's what I'm saying to you. Everybody is different. Every organisation is different. Your data, how sensitive it is, will be different. And you've got to have a plan that really meets your requirements. Okay? But you've also got to educate the users and give them an understanding of why we are adding defences. Yeah? Because if we put a defence in place and the end users or the systems administrators think it's just a nuisance and he's getting in the way, they'll find a way to do what they want to do that could mean your critical assets aren't protected. So you've got to think about that as well. So education, communication is a real key part of this plan. Yeah. Look at your assets, your critical assets, and protect them in the most appropriate way for you. Okay? Build your processes and procedures. Okay? That's what you've got to bet. So you need a plan. And for me, the plan starts at your security policy. Your policy should lead into a design. The design leads into a set of procedures. Your procedures and your design lead into a implementation. Okay. Once you've got security implemented, you then audit against that policy, you measure yourself against the policy, and you keep iterating around that. Okay, and there are certain things that you can do here. Yeah, I mean, obviously education. Yeah, this is not somebody for the techies, something for the techies or the execs. This is for the whole business, because the bad guys or the bad actors are going to target the weakest link, and that might be the young lady sat on your front desk answering the telephone. They're not going to try and attack, the head of information security, because they might think, they may be successful, it just depends. Yeah, they might think, well, he might be a bit of a tough cookie to crack. Why don't I go and target a weaker link? And that's what we have to think about. Where are the weak links? So education and security awareness training are really, really fundamental. Okay, knowledge. Yeah. If you go out there and you do learn stuff and you go off to technical training, you go off to college, use it. Use that knowledge, on your own systems. Use it to do, the discovery exercises that the bad actors talk about. Okay, so go away and learn this stuff, and then come away and test yourself. Pen test your own systems. Yeah, whether you do it yourself or you bring somebody else in, and if you are successful, use that to go back round into your policy and your procedures and into education. And it's this continuous process. Both slides here are continuous processes, and you've got to just keep going and going and going. You can't stop, because the minute you stop, the bad actors will come in and they will try and attack your systems. And if you leave them a small hole, they will get in, and if they get in, then the results are probably not going to be favourable to you. Okay, so we talked about all of that sort of enterprise stuff, and then we start thinking about the mainframe, and we start talking about exposing the mainframe. There's legislation in Europe coming that says, our large banks need to be opening up their core IT systems to the smaller startup fintech organisations, so that they can start sharing information quite easily. And I know that scares a lot of IT execs and a lot of security execs who have mainframes in their core. The core systems are hosted on a mainframe. Because remember, it's just another server. It's an IP address. Yes, it might run ZOS, but it runs FTP and SSH, and it runs Telnet. And the bad guys and girls, the bad actors, they know how to take this stuff on, So if somebody compromises your network, your mainframe could be affected, And then you wind this back and you say, well, hang on a minute, I've got all these IoT devices, but I'm also letting people bring their own device. So they're bringing it in, they're plugging it into my network at work, and how do I know that that device hasn't been compromised in some way? And yes, there are ways to protect ourselves, but do we test that? Are they as effective as we think we are? Okay, but we've got the latest patches, we've got the latest firewall, we've got antivirus, but somebody has loaded something onto that laptop for nefarious purposes. So we've got to think about that, Here's an interesting spin. They may not target your mainframe directly. Why would I try and hack a mainframe, without knowing any of the information about it? But what about targeting one of our end users or one of our privileged users? So I know that Mark is a security administrator at Acme Inc. And if I sit outside Mark's house and try and compromise his Wi-Fi router or his doorbell or his fridge, could that get me onto Mark's home network and then get onto his laptop that he's using to connect to the office? Now, there are some who'd say, so what? Our mainframe's secure. Really? When was the last time you really had your mainframe pen tested by true mainframe security experts? And there are plenty of people out there who can do this for you, okay? Go out to GitHub and have a look at all the mainframe hacking code that's there. Yeah, there is code to enumerate mainframe user IDs. There's code to actually go and enumerate and footprint KICS, CICS systems. It's all there, readily available. There's code there to find all your APF authorized libraries and see if the person running the code has got update access to any of them. And then they have a payload that if you're one flavor of an ESM, that it will go and flip bits in the ACE to elevate your privileges. And all that stuff's there, freely available. Go to YouTube and just Google mainframe hacking. Yeah, they are talking about this stuff at Black Hat, at DEF CON, at B-Sides, and all of the traditional hacking classes, yeah, are all talking about mainframes. And that's quite scary, yeah. But they've then even made it easier. The hackers and the pen test use a framework called Metasploit. So they've taken all this stuff that's on GitHub and they've actually now embedded it into Metasploit. So if you are using Metasploit, typically on a Kali Linux device, you can say, I'm pen testing a mainframe, and it will run a whole bunch of tests for you. And it's really simple and really slick. You do not need to be a mainframe person to understand this. So it's, can be quite scary, especially when people think the mainframe's not at risk. They think it's Fort Knox. They think it's rock solid. Well, I'm sorry, it's not. Yeah, they have been hacked. They have been successfully hacked, and they will be again. Now, in context, yeah, typically when somebody has compromised a mainframe, they've done it from inside the organisation. Okay, but there have been and well publicised external breaches of mainframes. So, yeah, our mainframes aren't as secure as we think they are. Yeah, just think of that fridge. Yeah, these fridges. Yeah, with these nice LCD panels that say, "Oh, well, you've run out of milk. I'll order some for you." Yeah, why you cannot just go down the shop and buy milk is beyond me. But yeah, these facilities exist. Yeah, it's got technology. Yeah, there is technology running in the fridge. How secure is that technology? Could it be compromised? Because if it could be compromised, yeah, your fridge, they then scan that. Yeah, they've now compromised the fridge. They've now got a foothold in your network. Yeah, so they are now watching your network, and they see you connecting your laptop. Yeah, and we stick some malware on it or a rootkit or something. Okay, you then click on the wrong place or the wrong thing. Yeah, you then sit there and connect to your remote office. Yeah, maybe a local office, maybe head office. Yeah, you might even have a VPN in place. So you type in your user ID and your password for the VPN. They've got all of that. One thing that stops that, an RSA token or something, some device like that with a changing key fob, perfect. Yeah, not everybody does that. Okay, so they've compromised your laptop. They now have done an Nmap on your network with you VPN'd into the office, and they found port 23, yeah, running Telnet, and they've got a service running on there who's got an eye catcher that says IBM main F. Do a bit of Googling. If you've got some faint idea of what's going on, you might well find that you're onto a mainframe. And potentially, depending on the type of user you are, that you've now managed to compromise, potentially game over. Yeah? And this is a really interesting cartoon for me. Can I interest you in a file war for your toaster? And as absurd as that seems, that's actually some of the things we've got to start thinking about. Yeah, how many of us? I do it myself. I take my laptop from work home and I connect to my home Wi-Fi and I start doing work. Yeah, how many of us do that without knowing that all of our devices in our house are actually secure? Yeah, so there's lots and lots of information out there. Yeah. The bottom one was really interesting for me. US government offers $25,000 prize for inventing a way to secure IoT devices. I think that kind of says it all for me, yeah? when you've got Bruce Shiner saying we need a new agency for IoT security, again, yeah, Bruce knows what he's talking about. So, yeah, got to be really, really careful out there with this stuff. Some stuff to sort of kind of help you prepare, yeah. So, Lockheed Martin are accredited with coming up with this sort of infographic here called the Cyber Kill Chain. Whilst it's not a model for steps to take in this security investigation, yeah, but more, yeah, to help us understand how the bad people operate. And if you get breached, yeah, it'll allow you to understand where your defences have failed. Now, typically, this is nothing to do with mainframes, okay? But yeah, if you start looking at this technology and thinking, how could I use that thought process for protecting my mainframe? Yeah, and one of the things that's obviously a big talking point at the moment is ransomware. Yeah. Ever thought about what would happen if somebody encrypted all of your mainframe data and wouldn't give you the keys to read it, to decrypt it? Yeah. Now, the mainframe's got some of the fastest crypto coprocessor engines known to mankind, and you can encrypt a whole lot of data really, really quickly. Yeah, yeah. There's talk about pervasive encryption coming from IBM, where we as organisations and users of this technology will be able to encrypt our data using perhaps an SMS data class or something of that ilk. So, do you know what? All that's going to do to the bad guys is, well, I'm not going to focus on the data anymore. I'm just going to try and get your master keys. Can I get your master keys? Because if I get rid of your master keys or copy them and then delete them from your systems, yeah, I haven't got to encrypt all the data. You've done it for me. But because I've got the master keys, you can't get access to your data. So encryption is a good thing, yeah? But you've got to think about how that moves the mindset of the bad people when we start talking about this. And ransomware, yeah, it's not been seen on the mainframe yet, but I tell you, it could do. How would you recover? What would the timescales be? Yeah, if somebody encrypted all of your data and said, I'm not going to give you access to your data unless you pay me X million dollars. Yeah, that could be quite a challenge. I had this conversation with a CISO a few months ago, and he said, it doesn't matter, Mark, we replicate all of our data. And you kind of look at him and think, really? Because obviously, if I encrypt it at the source and that data is replicated, I've just replicated the encrypted data. Yeah. So, yeah, where are your backups? Yeah. How are you going to create application or system level backups that you could recover from if you suffered a major data corruption in the hardware in the replicated data? So this kill chain in the mainframe is something that we should take a look at and say to ourselves, what pieces of this thinking can we use to better protect ourselves in the mainframe space? In summary, if you're going to go down this digital transformation, if you're going to embark on this journey, you've got to have an effective cybersecurity program, because it's not just an IT issue. It's a business and it's a cultural one. Yeah, you've really, really got to wrap your head around this and fully understand it. Yeah, because transformation is really a must for a lot of organisations. Not even to let them grow, to just survive. Yeah, but you have to get the balance right. Yeah, and the balance is, yes, I want business agility. I want to be better. I want to be faster. I want to be stronger. But you cannot do it without reckless abandon. You've got to do it. Yeah, it's a balance. You've got to get the balance right with better, faster, stronger, and doing it securely. Because you might do it really, really well. You might think you're doing it really, really, you're much, much better. You might think you're being really, really agile. But you could end up putting the business at risk if you don't do it securely. And that's, even for our mainframes, we have to think about that. Because if you go to YouTube and you do mainframe hacking, or you just Google mainframe hacking or hacking, there's a view in Hollywood, that it's this. I'm just going to overclock the Unix. I'm going to basic the DDoS. It's not that difficult. This is how they actually do it. This is Robert Hackerman. I am the County Password Inspector. What's our first response? How can I help you today? There's a Jimmy Kimmel video that's a couple of years old now that you can find on YouTube. If you Google Jimmy Kimmel and passwords, he actually takes a camera crew out into some main street in Hollywood, I believe, with a camera and a microphone, and literally puts the microphone in front of somebody and says, "What's your password?" They had 100% success rate of gaining the password from the people they spoke to. And they spoke to 5 or 6, and they had 100% hit rate. It was only one of them actually turned round and said, "Oh my God, you now know my password." Because we do have to educate the consumers. The apps are great, but we've got to educate them. We used to talk about PEBCA. Problem exists between the keyboard and chair. Replace user, then press OK to continue. That's what we used to talk about. Well, I think that's moved on a little bit now. Problems exist between device and application. Because, they don't sit there on a keyboard anymore. They sit with their iPad or their iPhone or the Samsung Galaxy 8 when they're hitting the streets and all these things. So, if you're going to go down this digital transformation journey, you really must have a robust cybersecurity plan, and it must include your mainframe. Because if it doesn't include your mainframe, you are only opening yourself up to huge risk and potential disaster. So, with that, I have finished the presentation a couple of minutes later than I wanted to. So, Janine, over to you for questions.
Great, Mark. We do have some questions, so let's get started. Have you participated in a large enterprise digital transformation? And if so, what were the surprises, and how did you handle them?
So the answer to the question is yes, we have. The first surprise was sitting in the initial kickoff meeting we had with the security team there, and there was about 14 people around the table, and we were talking about how we're going to set up on this digital transformation journey and how important cybersecurity was, and we're sort of round the table saying to people, okay, and your role in this will be, and your role, and you kind of get to the end of it and say, right, okay, who's looking after your mainframe side of things? And they all looked at each other. Not one of them had any knowledge of their mainframe environment. One of them said, do we still have them? They had over 100,000 MIPS on the floor of mainframe processing power. And what transpired out of this is nearly 85% of their core applications that were going to be front and center for digital transformation resided on the mainframe. So how do you deal with that? A lot of education. We actually had to go and bring in extra people from the organisation. So we went to the technical teams, we went to the audit teams, and we got those bought into the program. So we had mainframe presence in all of the design and the implementation planning and the overall security posture. So it was about identifying where we had a gap and going back into the client's workforce and bringing those skills to the table. We actually went out to the market as well and bought some external expertise in because we needed some in certain places.
Great. Next question, and you know what? I have gotten this question on other webinars. It says, has a mainframe ever been hacked?
Yes. Has a mainframe ever been hacked? Yes. Has somebody gone to prison for hacking that mainframe? Yes. And there's a story that we've heard many times and talked about of a breach that happened up in the Nordics. Personally, I know of 2 breaches in the UK, and I know there are others in North America. So yes, they have. But again, to put this in context, the majority of the breaches were insiders. Okay, apart from the one up in the Nordics, because that was an actual external breach of the systems. So yes, they have, and unfortunately, they probably will be again.
Okay, so you did mention they're mostly insiders, because the next question kind of leads to, or jumps off there. Do you think hackers are actually interested in mainframes and hacking them?
Do I think hackers are interested in mainframes? Absolutely. I think just going and looking at the archives at sessions at DEF CON and Black Hat, and going to GitHub and looking at the code that's being developed. These are people who are very interested in it, and yeah, these are just normal individuals who are doing some of this stuff in their spare time. You know, there's one presentation I read, hacking mainframes for fun and prison time. Now, obviously he thought that was quite hilarious, but in reality, it's not those kind of people I worry about. I'm more worried about the motivated cyber criminal, the motivated criminal, or potentially even nation states, because if we've got people in our own backyard who can go and develop this code, there are some bright people all over the world who will almost certainly be looking at this, because where is the data? Where are the crown jewels? Where's the system of record? The mainframe. So why not target that? And people will, and people have, and they will continue to do so.
What are some approaches to securing web services provided by CICS on the mainframe?
So, what are some approaches? I think the standard approaches, or not so much the standard approaches. Treat those web applications like you would any other web application. And what I mean by that is get them tested and reviewed and pen tested by experts who understand it. You can go, if you have an internet-facing non-mainframe based application, web application, you can go and get that tested. There are people out there who will come and pen test that for you and tell you whether you've got any issues. There are folks out there who will do this for your CICS-based web systems. So you should treat them the same way as you would any other application. Go and get them tested. Don't assume that it's secure just because it's an application running on the mainframe. You've got to get on the front foot, and you've got to think, if I'm going to make this internet-facing and public available, somebody is going to come and knock on the front door, and they will knock on the front door quite vociferously. You've got to have done that yourself before you get out there. We did a little test in the office here, probably the best part of 2 years ago, is we fired up a mainframe LPAR and gave it a public IP address and just left it there for a week. You wouldn't believe the noise that we found on our syslog of people trying to log in with user IDs like admin and Super S and all different types of non-mainframe style user IDs, because they hadn't quite worked out that it was a mainframe. Second week, they were trying IBM user, they were trying sys1, they were trying all kinds of mainframe style type user IDs. So test your applications, like you would any other application, would be my advice.
Someone's interested in knowing, when you perform penetration tests, have you ever been thwarted in your attempts?
Have we ever been thwarted? Unfortunately, no.
Oh, wow.
We have been able to do one of two things. We have either been able to copy sensitive data and demonstrate to the client that we could get it out of their organization without being stopped or without it being traced, or we've been able to elevate our privileges to the point where we would have complete control of the mainframe. And for the technical people on the call, supervisor state key 0 with your own piece of code, I can do what I want to your system now. And that's the type of thing that you have got to try and prevent. And that's my advice to anybody in this space is go on the front foot. Try thinking and behaving like the bad actors. Don't think because Fred, who works in your IT department and has been there 25 years, is actually doing everything properly. What if Fred did something bad? How would you spot it? How would you prevent it? So you've got to get, we have to get more aggressive to our own systems to protect ourselves.
How do you convince senior management that there actually is a mainframe security concern?
I think the answer to that is we have to change the language we use, because going to a senior executive and saying, I've got 50 users that can update an APF authorized library, or 10 who can change sys1.palmlib, or 200 who can issue an MVS setprog command, noise, blah, 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 so what? What we need to do is couch our concerns in the language that they understand. Risk. This is a risk to our business. This is a risk to our reputation. If we don't fix this, we're going to suffer. We could potentially suffer reputational damage. So you have to use the language that they understand. And that was, as a techie, I suppose I still am, a trained mainframe systems programmer. So I was more happy talking in bits and bytes and noughts and ones than risk and reputational damage. And you've got to couch your concerns in a way that they can understand this. This is a risk to the business, and this is how the risk could manifest itself. And this is what we need to do to manage that risk. And that might be we need training, we need investment in tooling, we need to do X, Y, or Z.
So interesting, Mark. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. So I want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar, and I especially want to thank you, Mark, for sharing your expertise with us today. Later this week, we will be sending out a link to the recording of today's webinar to everyone who registered for the event. That concludes our webinar. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great day.